For Random, Buren, St. George.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On March 10th in this House, I asked a question to do with the fishers of Newfoundland and Labrador, actually 850 fishers from Newfoundland and Labrador and Quebec, who have been taxed unfairly on the buyout of their fishing license. They participated in a program, it was a voluntary participation in a program offered by the federal government back in 1998. And with the collapse of the ground fishery, there was an opportunity for them to actually get out of the fishery. And several hundred of them took advantage of this particular program. What has transpired since, Madam Speaker, is nothing short of a shame, in fact, on the government because of the way these fishers have been treated. They knew they would have to pay capital gains tax on the buyout of their license. That's not the issue. The issue is that for some of those fishers, they were actually charged 25% tax on their capital gains, while on the other 850, they were charged 100% tax on their capital gains. So the question is, why were they treated differently? And what they've been trying to do ever since is to get the government to acknowledge that there was an error made. And the error was made when when Revenue Canada informed the Department of Fisheries and Oceans that these fishers would indeed be taxed at 100% of their capital gains. Later it was learned that that was not the case. DFO had only passed along the information that had been provided to them by Revenue Canada. So upon learning that some of their colleagues, some of their fellow fishers were in fact only taxed 25% on the capital gains, then of course these fishers came looking for money that was owed to them, money that had been collected by the government in this situation unfairly. And we have been trying for all of this time, for going on 10 years now, Madam Speaker, to get the government to acknowledge that this is a mistake. It's a mistake that they can fix quite easily if they want to. We all know that governments can do things when they realize a gregarious error has been made, and in this case, that is certainly what has happened here. So we are trying again to make the government understand the situation. And it would appear from a response that I received to a petition that I presented on this very same issue that somehow the Revenue Canada seems to think that these fishers do not want to pay capital gains on the buyout of their license, and that's not the case. I mean, it says here in the response that the TTC determined that the payments are taxable under the provisions of the Act. And they're not quarreling with that. Of course they expect to pay tax. That is not the question. The question is that they have been taxed unfairly, and how anyone can look at the situation and see that about 200 fishers were in fact taxed 25% on the sale of their fishing license, and the remaining are taxed at 850 are taxed at 100%. There is a problem here. An error was made, and what we're asking the government is to acknowledge this error. Forget the fact that it's before the courts, because that's always used as an excuse, of course, when people don't want to deal with an issue, and in this case the government. It's a smokescreen. So what we're asking is acknowledge that there's been a mistake made here, and let's fix this once and for all and treat the fishers fairly.